Thank you guys for joining us,
Can you,
Vernon
I'm
and
muting that audio.
Lavender with
All
Real
right.
Talk
Okay.
Relationships. Tonight we have, well, first of all, Vernon, how are you? We're kind of out of sync. It's been a while since we've done this. How are you doing? Vernon, Vernon, Vernon.
I'm doing great, sugar. I am doing well. You still getting that? You still hear me more?
I hear you. We got all kind of feedback. And ask those of you guys who are viewing us, how do we sound? Let us know if you have an echo. Comment, please. Thank you for joining us. Yes.
Well, Lavender, I'll tell you what. Let's start.
As long as you can hear me, it's
Let's talk
okay.
about the brand new show here
Yes,
tonight.
we are back. Brand new show. It used to be called Wind Down Wednesday. It is Real Talk Relationships. So we needed an upgrade, a facelift, if you will. And we want to invite real, live, transparent couples to come on with us and talk about what makes their relationship special. I believe every relationship has something special that other marriages or those who are engaged or even singles can glean from. So, our first couple, brave couple to come on with Vernon and I, they're brave. Anybody that comes on with Vernon and I are brave because we don't rehearse. We just off the cuff ask questions. So this couple, Trey and Eva Jenkins, all the way from Las Vegas, Nevada, call themselves the Powerhouse Couple. And we're going to find out what makes them the Powerhouse Couple and what they have to offer that other couples can benefit from. I think relationships, marriages have got to be the most difficult unit or union on earth to deal with. It's almost like God said, okay, I'm going to take this woman and this man who have completely different brains, and I want them to come together and try to work it out. So it's almost like his comedy hour to watch relationships work, how we butt heads. And you know, Vernon, we always talk about that book, Men Are From Mars, Women Are From Venus. And that is so true. So let's bring Trey and Eva on and let's see what they have to say. So welcome, Trey and
Well,
Eva. How are you guys doing?
hi. Thank you so much for having us. We are so excited to be here today.
Yeah, thanks for having us on. We're so excited to share and just really talk about relationships. We love relationships.
I am a marriage and family therapist intern and a drug and alcohol intern, and I also do Mary Kay. And
And I am an ordained pastor, also a chaplain, and I work for the federal government for my day job.
it's quite interesting that really God gave us powerhouse couple in a sense that we want to keep God first in our marriage, and we cannot keep him first without his power, essentially.
So
Right?
that's how you came up with Powerhouse Couple. How did you
Mhm.
guys meet?
Well, I was single, previously married, and the Lord had a calling on my life. And I started thinking about how many people I've met who I thought was the one. And I realized I was 0 for whatever number you want to put on the other side. And I just think by the power of the Spirit, I started realizing I didn't have the ability to choose a proper wife for myself again. And so I began to pray and ask God to bring me a wife. And I just started preparing my heart for her. And I just started quoting back these scriptures back to God. Psalms 37:4, delight yourself in the Lord, he'll give you desires of your heart. Matthew 6:33, seek first the kingdom of God and his righteousness. All these other things be added unto you. Jeremiah 32:17, all sovereign Lord who created the heavens and the earth. There's nothing too hard for you. I started meditating on these scriptures and really started believing them. I started getting some friends to agree with me that God can and would bring me a wife in his timing. And so I really went to hear this message on August 13, 2013. I'll never forget it. I left hearing this message asking God to show me who my wife would be by December the 31st of that year. And this was during my first year of Bible college. And so I was really excited and believing. I don't know why I believed it, but I believed that God was going to do it. And as December 31st was approaching, I mean, I had met no one. It didn't look like it was going to happen. And so I remember having this concession prayer, telling God, maybe you want me to finish school first. I said, but either way, I know that you can do it, and in your timing you will. Your will be done. And a couple hours after I had my concession prayer, I had a friend of mine who sent me a picture on Facebook Messenger. And he says, do you know this woman? And I'm like, no, that's kind of weird. Why would I know her? And he said, well, she feeds the homeless like you do. She does other things in the community like you do. I just thought you two might be friends. And so now he had me a little bit curious. And so I asked him, what was her name? And I kind of looked her up and I saw she was a believer. So I just kind of sent her a friend request, but really didn't think much about it. And after that, she friended me, but then she posted there was this conference called Limitless based on Ephesians 3:20. So I messaged her and asked her a little bit about the conference because I was out of school and maybe I could go. So she told me a little bit about it and encouraged me to go. And so I went. But when I arrived there, I saw her and I said to myself, I'm not even going to say hello to her because I don't want her to get the wrong idea that I'm here to meet her or get to know her like anything like that. So I just remember sitting down and then she came over and introduced herself and said she was Eva, one of the speakers tonight. Glad that I came. And then after I left that night, I had such a good time. I was planning to come back the second night. And I got in my truck and the Lord spoke to me as clear as you can hear me speaking. He said, Eva's going to be your wife, just like that.
And how long had you guys, Trey, how long had you guys been dating, or how long had it been since you met?
Dating. This is the first time this is the first time I saw her.
This is the first time we met.
I didn't know anything about her.
And so even before then, I was praying for my husband since November 2013. And God put it on my heart to pray whether he is deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair. God, I know it's going to be your very best for me. And so I was against dating. I was like kind of just over it at that point in my life. And I was just like, oh, okay, let me just focus on God. Let me get prepared for this conference. And so when I got his Facebook request, I saw that we had no mutual friends whatsoever. And I was curious and I was thinking, well, how does he know me? And so I looked on his Facebook and I saw that we went to the same university. So that's when I went ahead and I added him. And then when I posted about the conference and he contacted me, I told him what it was about, right? And then after that, he ended up getting that, what was it, in your spirit that God spoke to you?
No, listen. I'm still to this day debating whether it was audible or did I just hear it in my spirit. But it was so clear that I began to weep when God shared with me that Eva was going to be my wife. I immediately called my friends who had been praying for me and told them what God had just told me. It wasn't even like I doubted it. I knew what I heard. And so I just began thinking, well, God, how are you going to work this out? And so I'm assuming that somehow over the next several years, we'll become friends and we'll go on a date or something. But God had a big surprise for me. The following night when I came back to the conference, the usher at the door said, excuse me, sir, I just want you to know that Eva is single, because I know nothing about her. And I saw someone else. They told me the exact same thing. And then I saw Eva and she goes, hey, you came back. She goes, listen, I'm not speaking tonight. You know, I'll sit with you since you're by yourself. But inside, I'm thinking, no, I'm not going to help God out at all. I'm going to let this play out. And so
all of this started on Facebook. Your marriage started with a Facebook messenger.
Yes, from a friend of mine from church who had no idea what I was praying for.
Okay. Now you're a minister, Trey. The way you all met is just rare. You guys weren't even dating and you knew that was your wife. What would you tell those who are unchurched or don't have a relationship when it comes to meeting a wife and relationship, or those who might be looking for someone? Because what you guys have is rare. That's like one in how many chances does that happen?
True. Well, first I would say is get to know yourself. Get to know who you are and be comfortable with who you are and be okay being single. I think that's the first thing, because I think when we try to say, I need a spouse, I got to be in a relationship, that's showing some deficiencies in ourselves, and it's really setting a relationship up to struggle.
Because then you're forcing yourself to be in a relationship or to probably find acceptance outside of ourselves, right? Sometimes we want people to validate us, accept us, but really we have to look within ourselves first and start dating ourselves and finding out, like, what do we like? What are we like when we're by ourselves? Can we be comfortable waiting?
Yeah, because a great marriage is built with two strong people. You know, if I'm being a weak person, I'm lonely, I feel like my life is over unless I get married, I feel like I'm missing something, then that's really showing that I think I need someone else to complete me. I need someone else to fulfill me. And I think that we have to walk long enough in our singlehood to where we are comfortable in our own skin to be by ourselves, so that way we're bringing less baggage to this relationship.
Okay, so now you appear to be like the perfect couple. I'm serious. You guys you're smiling, you're talking about the Lord and how you met and the whole fairy tale. Tell us, what is your most difficult thing that you deal with in your relationship? Now, you guys are an interracial couple. Trey, you've been married before. What is the one thing that you guys battle with the most, or have battled with the most and learned to deal with?
Well, for me, it was my own personal struggles and my depression, because I felt in our communication styles, we couldn't get along, and it was constant defensiveness every time that we would try to even say anything. And it felt really, I turned in more inwards, and I resorted back into like my childhood years of feeling like, of just being depressed.
And for me, the first year, I didn't know I was, but I was extremely controlling. Part of it was a self-protection mechanism stemming from my previous marriage. A lot of things I didn't stand up to or talk about. And so I felt like I needed to control things to make sure things were okay. And so that really caused my wife to respond to me with defensiveness and anger. And so we were very frustrated that first year. And that was what we had to work through. And God showed me through a series of events that part of my control issues came from losing my stepdaughter in a way that I didn't never get to say goodbye to her, the way that my relationship ended, that there was still some wounds that never got healed. And so he was showing me that what doesn't get healed, you're going to bring that into your relationship. And so I remember talking to my wife and asking her, did she think I was controlling? And she goes, are you? And so I told her I'm sorry, and I'm working on that. And so even just that alone has really helped our marriages, because I feel like we were arguing probably once or twice a week, and now we probably argue once or twice a year. And so we're getting to know one another, but also knowing what we bring into the relationship. And so she's getting to know me, and I've gotten to know her in a way that I know who she is, and so I know how to treat her and how to love her.
That's good. Now, with all the racial tension that's been going on in the world today, why don't you share what you guys have experienced? You've had to experience something, what you deal with. And have either of you ever been in an interrelationship before you got married?
Well, just like I had said about God putting it on my heart to pray, whether he's deaf, blind, or in a wheelchair, God, I know it's your very best for me. I didn't realize that through that prayer, he was actually preparing me for the color of my husband. Because growing up, I was always told if I was to marry a Black man, I would get disowned from my family. And so I always dated white men just because I always wanted the approval of bringing him over in my family's home. But then after realizing that God put it on my heart that this is my husband, I said, okay, God, you're going to have to work it out in their hearts and figure it out. And so by the time the wedding came, you could see no issues in their hearts whatsoever. They completely accepted him, which was completely a miracle in itself because of the belief of what I had always been brought up with. So it's amazing to see the restoration in my family, even through my marriage, that could only have been done a miraculous way. What about you?
Yeah, for me, it just growing up in Mississippi, where you always felt like I always felt like a second-class citizen. Everything was very segregated. Although segregation was supposed to be over, I feel like we still lived in a way that was segregated. And going to a high school that was 96% white, I just really always felt like a second-class citizen. So I was definitely cognizant of race in a really, how should I put, in an old 50s, 60s kind of way. And so I remember talking with my parents and, dealing with, the KKK, dealing with a lot of different issues growing up. For me, when I was 6 years old, I was excited to play baseball. And I remember my dad taking me down to the boys club to sign me up. And all of a sudden I heard my father get into an argument and he says, come on, let's go. And I asked him, I said, what did I do wrong? Why don't they like me? And my dad had to explain to me they weren't allowing blacks to play at the boys club. And so that was for me, my first just introduction to racism and segregation and just all these different things. And I just remember seeing it throughout my life, whether it's dealing with the police or just different things. And so my parents taught me to love everybody. And so I was always open to whatever God had planned for me, regardless. I just wanted his very best for me. I believe that for me, I just got into a place of my spiritual walk to where I wanted what I needed and what I wanted to be the exact same thing. And a lot of times it's easy to focus on what you want and then hope that you can get what you need in the same person. And even when we were talking about our story, the very next day, I think it was on Sunday, we decided to go to lunch. And at lunch is when we started talking, is when I found out we were going to the same school. And literally about an hour into our conversation, now I got this secret that God told me she was going to be my wife, but I'm allowing this to play out. And Eva says, I got something to tell you, but you're going to probably think I'm crazy. And I said, what? And she says, I've been praying for my husband, and I believe God is telling me it's going to be you. And when so when she told me that, I said, well, in that case, I have something to tell you as well. And so even in that moment when God both showed both of us, even though we didn't know each other, we committed to the process and we began to plan our marriage.
Yeah. And even in that way, we didn't post a picture of us because I was still fearful of what my family might say. So I wanted to keep it a hush hush. And then he's like, okay, we need to post a picture, show like, hey, we're in a relationship. And so I said, okay. So I posted the picture and then my mom calls me and was like, is he black? And I said, before you say anything, God's going to hold you accountable to your words and your actions. And you're only this way because of your dad. And he's not even alive anymore. So it's on you. And she says, okay, well, he's going to have to work in my heart. And I said, yes, he will. And so that was basically it. And then my stepdad calls me and he goes, I feel this is so right in my spirit for your guys' marriage. And I knew that was a good ear for her. And by the time the wedding came, no issues. In their hearts.
8 months later, we were married. We had a big wedding in Mississippi. Her family came down. Her mother came down early with Eva and to get acclimated with my family, and they fell in love with her, and it was just a wonderful relationship.
So Eva, you were told about not marrying a black man, yet you guys had a wedding in Mississippi.
Yes.
Vernon, I know you have something to say. I know you have something on your mind.
No, I'm just enjoying it because I'm from the South and I understand where you're coming from. I'm just amazed it went so well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And you guys said you were 3 weeks just dating for 3 weeks and you knew that you were going to get married.
Oh,
No,
yeah.
it wasn't even 3 weeks. We're talking
3 days.
3 days later after I first saw her is when when she told me God was telling her I was going to be her husband, and I hadn't even told her anything.
Yeah. So literally
Wow.
we met in that weekend, and God said in that weekend, we feel like our marriage is arranged by God.
Okay, so the powerhousecouple.org.
Mm-hmm.
If anyone wants to know more about Trey and Eva and this unbelievable union and how these two people met and got married without ever knowing each other in such a short period of time, you can go to the powerhousecouple.org. It's scrolling on the bottom of the screen. Tell us what the Powerhouse Couple does. What services do you all offer? And I also noticed that you all have something for singles on
Mm-hmm.
your site. So share a little bit about your services.
Well, first of all, when I was asking God for a wife, I said, God, give us a ministry. I want a marriage that's about you, that we want to be purposeful in our marriage, that our marriage isn't just so we'll be happy, have kids, and just grow old, but we want our marriage to be a weapon against the enemy. God put it on my heart, and I think that it's a lot of marriages doesn't realize this. Marriage is God's most highest, most precious relationship. It's his most important one. And this is why there's so much attack and assault on marriage, because it's held so dearly and so closely with God. God actually chose marriages to change the world. He chose marriages to repopulate the earth, to raise kingdom children, to have a kingdom family, to have a kingdom community. It all starts with the marriage. And so for us, God has given us how should I put it? He's given us a love and affection and affinity for marriages. And so we know a lot of marriages struggle. I mean, like you just said in the beginning, Lavender, there's two people who are completely different, which we are. And God is saying, okay, you guys get together, become one, and work it all out. And so it's really, really difficult, but you have to be intentional. And so we probably specialize in conflicts and how to work through conflict in a healthy manner.
Because we had a lot of it.
Yeah, we had a lot of it. And so we really want to encourage husbands to walk in their role that God has called, for ladies to walk in
What
your
if they
role.
don't know that role, Trey? It's a lot of, I keep bringing up unchurched couples. A lot of viewers watching may not even be familiar with the phrases and terms that you're using, or how to listen or know God's voice. So how do you reach, if someone was to go to your website, how are you going to reach those who have no relationship with God or no religion, or may not be a Christian, but practice another religion? Because as you said, marriage, that's the greatest relationship.
Well,
How do you reach them?
Then I'll talk about being selfless. People about a picture that you just took a group of people. You don't say a picture good until you see you look in it. Everyone could mess, but if you look good, it's a picture. And so we're innately selfish and self-centered. And that really gets exposed in marriage. Before I got married, people would say what a loving, kind person I was and how selfless I was. But after I got married, I realized how selfish I was. And so to me, that would be one of the first things that we would talk about, is being selfless and trying to grow in that. How can I put my spouse before myself? How can I think about her desires, her wants, her feelings above my own? And so that'd be one place that I would probably begin.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And for the women, right, understanding your gifts and your talents that you have, so you know what it is you bring into the relationship as well, in order to see yourself as whole and complete and not lacking any good thing in yourself, and just saying, okay, I can compliment my husband in the things that maybe he's struggling in, and being able to lift up his spirit or his where it is that he's lacking in. So we learn how to accommodate each other in our roles and the things that maybe we're lacking.
Yeah, and it's less about who's right and who's wrong. it's better. It's about having an understanding about who you are and who I am, so that we can not be at odds with each other. I think in marriages, a lot of issues don't get resolved because each person thinks they're right and they won't get off of that. And so issues are going to come up, disagreements are going to come up.
Right.
So it's about fighting fairly and being able to understand, being intentional about listening, and really getting to know your spouse. I mean, this person, I feel like sometimes people get married 20 years and have no idea some of the most intimate thoughts that their spouse has.
And you all have been married for how long?
Question.
7 years.
7 years. So they're at that,
Yeah.
Vernon, that 7-year itch. You guys heard about the 7-year itch?
I heard about it.
Yeah. Well, I guess if everybody can hear me fine, right? I just want to make sure.
What?
Yes.
Yes.
You can hear me. Can you hear me? Okay, good. I think, I've been sitting here taking it in and listening to everything that you say, and believe it or not, unlike me and Lavenda, I agree with everything you're saying so far. So I can't believe that the fact of the matter is that you said something that was so important that I think every couple, regardless, should take heed of, and that is about don't get stuck with right and wrong. Who's right and who's wrong? Okay, it doesn't matter, and I think that's what causes a lot of issues in relationships when one wants to have the ups on the other. One wants to be right, and the other wants to prove the other one is wrong. It shouldn't matter. It shouldn't matter as long as you can come to some common agreements on whatever the issues that you're dealing with. So I if I take nothing else from that, I think that's one of the most important things that you said tonight. But one of the things I would like to know, what led you to the Powerhouse Couple website, and why did y'all decide to go ahead and do that?
Well, people kept saying to me, "Oh, you're a powerhouse." And then when I got married, I figured I can't be a powerhouse for myself. So why not Powerhouse Couple as our ministry? Because I believe in the power of God. He cares about the body, right? And so our homes are like our bodies, and it's an act of worship. And so the way to give him the most glory is through what we do for him, through our teachings, through our websites, our videos, and just creating more things for him.
Okay. So how well has it been received so far?
It's been received pretty well. We've definitely had, obviously, our most popular video is the video of how we met. We have a video about how waiting for your mate. And so we had several thousand views on that one because I know a lot of people are searching who are single, who want to be married. And so we really hope that they got a lot out of it. We definitely got a lot of feedback, a lot of emails, prayer requests, because I think people think that there is this one out there that's especially for them. And even in our testimony of how God brought us together, what's interesting is that we're almost completely opposite. For me, I thought I'd be so excited I got married because I love to do a lot of things that women like to do. I like to talk, I like to shop, I like to cook. And all three of those things my wife did not like to do. I'm actually her personal shopper because she doesn't like to go to the store. I'm thinking we could have a nice day, we could go lunch, we could do some shopping. She doesn't like to go shopping.
Yeah, no, stay at home. Give me that TV. I like to. He likes to go out. He's more of the social person. I'm more of the I need my alone time. So,
how did you all deal with the pandemic? Let's talk about that for a minute. Couples who were stuck, especially when the pandemic first began and the whole quarantine. And I noticed you all have made a couple of videos during that time to encourage couples. And by the way, I saw one of the latest ones with you all dancing together. Trey, you have absolutely no rhythm. That's supposed to be the other way around. No rhythm whatsoever. Eva was over there grooving. with the beat. And I'm like, Trey, where is your rhythm at?
He's got to learn some things.
Well, for us, it's been a year now that I've been working from home. And my wife being a therapist, sometimes she would have some of her clients at home. So we had to make some adjustments. My wife really likes having alone time just to herself. And so I had to be cognizant of that. And so even though I was home, I would spend most of my time in the office, and I would give her her room and her space that she needed. But also too, it gave us more time to spend intimate time together as well. So we tried to have a nice balance of that without being overbearing towards one another. And that's one of the gifts in getting to know your spouse. Because when you get to know your spouse, then you know what it is that they need.
And it's kind of interesting too, is everyone was getting laid off. I actually ended up getting hired in a residential treatment. And so it allowed me to actually go out and my husband to come in. So it kind of accommodated that too. So it was kind of nice.
Yeah. I got a question though, about the pandemic, and it's a good thing that that you own, because one of the things that you hear in the news today about being locked in together causes a lot of issues. Did it help, hurt, or made no difference in your relationship? I think for me personally, I think it really helped mine. I didn't think I would enjoy being cooped up in the house and so forth. But it certainly didn't hurt it. That's for sure. What about you guys' relationship? Did the pandemic hurt it, helped it, or just?
I think we just maintained. I think it really didn't do either. We have a strong marriage, and we just kept on rolling. And to what you were saying, it caused a lot of issues in a lot of marriages. I believe it's because when you're going here, I'm going there, we don't really have to see each other as much or be in each other's face. We don't have to deal with each other. So I feel like in a lot of relationships, there's some ongoing issues that haven't been resolved. And I just keep doing my thing, you keep doing your thing, and we don't address them. And I think the pandemic forced couples to address some really difficult issues, and a lot of them didn't make it through it.
Right. Okay. Very good. Very good. I guess that's why you guys are the powerhouse couple, huh?
I know. Well, you know what? You all are our first couple for our new format, and we want to encourage any other couples that might be watching. Every couple has something special to offer. It doesn't have to be on a spiritual basis. It could be just something that maybe you went through and came out of on the other side, or some challenges that you face in your relationship. So if you're out there listening and you would like to be interviewed or join Vernon and I on the show, contact one of us. You can just inbox us or go to our Facebook pages or email. And in closing, we're going to give Eva and Trey some couple of minutes for closing remarks, for any words that you want to say to relationships, marriages, singles that might be watching, that the powerhouse couple would like to share. And again, I'm going to have your website scrolling on the bottom. So here's your 90 seconds of fame right here.
Well, definitely, we have a mission in our home that is love starts in the home. We know we can't love on others or do what we do if we're not doing it to each other. So that is where our focus is. And I believe it's our first ministry. And just having that mindset really helps you have a generous spirit towards your spouse.
Yeah, create a mission statement for your marriage, and then focus on that and keep driving towards it. Marriage is a pursuit. You're going to have good days, you're going to have not so good days, but it's to never give up, to never stop trying. One of the things my wife has always told me, she says, no matter what argument that we get into, you always bless me when you say, I'm never giving up on us. And that was really in the early stages of our marriage. And so now we work through things, and it's important to always be at peace in your home. And so this is a place where you get to cultivate your love for one another. So like my wife said, you can go out and love people out there, and your spouse always has to be your number one priority. You can't put other people above your spouse.
That sounds wonderful. Wonderful. Yes, that was great. That
Very
was
good.
great. And we already have a couple, Wendy Shipman. She says, we are ready. She and her husband. Wendy deals with, or she calls herself a depression survivor. And her husband has been one of her greatest supporters in dealing with that. And that's a topic that a lot of relationships, a lot of marriages don't openly discuss, is when one or the other deals with depression or some mental illness. So, Wendy, we will contact you and let you know. We're going to give you a date. So thank you for that. And Trey and Eva, thank you for your closing remarks. And thank you for being bold enough to be the first couple.
Thank you so much for having us. We appreciate
Okay.
it.
All right. And we
Trey and Eva, it was certainly nice meeting both of you tonight, and I wish you much luck in all your endeavors and in your marriage. We'll check back in on you in another 7 years and see that powerhouse couple.
All right, we'll still be here.
Thank you for having us. We had a great time.
Yes, great.
All
And
right,
thank you
thank you,
guys.
man.
Thank
Thank
you
you.
guys.
All right.
Okay, Vernon.
All right, Linda. That
All
was
right.
great. That was great. I got a powerhouse couple, and the good part about it, it was a mixture of a little bit of everything we had talked about before on Wind Down Wednesday,
Right.
and we talked about mixed marriages and so forth, and that is a good example of a powerhouse couple and a mixed marriage couple and the whole 9 yards. The story, it was very interesting story, how
I
they met
know.
and so forth, and it goes back to some things that we talked about earlier, Lavenda, about destiny and stuff like that, and how things just happen to be beyond our control, and I don't know, but I miss talking to you, Lavenda. I'm glad we're back on with the new format now, and I won't let you have control of it. So only thing I'm only doing is recording. I don't know whether I'm on Facebook or not. I think I'm on Facebook because did you get a comment from Sandy, Dr. Winborn? Something
No.
popped up on my screen saying a comment. I hadn't got a chance. I hadn't been able to get over there, but you might want to look on your Facebook to
Okay.
see there's a comment that popped up there to see from her. But I want to thank folks for checking in. I don't know, like I said, I don't know whether I'm on YouTube or not. It says it is, but I don't think it is. I went over there to check a while ago, but that's all right.
Well, this was the first one, so we're like we did Wind Down Wednesday. We're gonna get all the bugs out, but Trey and Eva, they were a good couple to begin with.
Yeah, and not forgiving that I almost forgot about it.
Oh gosh, I know. Talk about keeping it real.
I truly jollifies for that because I was thinking about it. I texted you last night. And I was thinking about it last night. I said, please don't let me forget. And but in my head, I was thinking, we got a debut next. I thought it was the first Monday in April, but then I remembered it's supposed to be the 29th.
That's how quickly time goes by. So a whole week went by. But you know what? A lot of things happened today. And while we were on air, I got a call from work that I need to go in work. So we need to shut it down so I can go to work.
Oh, you got to go to. Oh, good for you.
Yes.
I won't smile. Okay. All right. Okay.
Okay, so until next time, and again, I want to tell our viewers to go to thepowerhousecouple.org and visit Trey and Eva and see what they have to offer. And you're a couple out there that would like to come on with us, contact us, and we will let you know. And until next time, we'll see you later.
All right, Lavenda. We'll see you. When is the next time, Lavenda?
I don't know. We'll talk about it. Right now, I need to get to work.
All right, then. We'll see you later.
All right. Bye-bye.
All right now. All right. Bye-bye.